Okay, so I think I'm just gonna redo the video I did yesterday. I'm gonna send you both. So you probably have already watched the video I did yesterday, but it's a little messy. We're gonna do this one again, so this will not be her first session on the place bed. I'm gonna pretend like it is, because it was a little rough yesterday. Alright, so I want her to go to the bed. She obviously likes going to the bed. I'm gonna mark. I'm gonna feed just inside the door here. Free. So we're gonna think about the bed like we think about the crate. The crate has three walls and one door. And so we're gonna refer to this side here as the door. Ready? Free! Place. Good. I can mark with my clicker the moment all four paws hit the bed, and then feed her once I get into the heel position here. Once I'm here, I can continue to mark and reward. So, I mean, it's going a lot better than it did yesterday. So, no, place. When we want her to start to stay up here, we're going to start with just duration. And so we're just going to stay right next to her. We're going to mark and reward. When we're ready for her to come off, we're going to say, free! Good. And she knows that free means to come off the bed. Place. Which, that is a great improvement from yesterday, which is nice. Now, I don't necessarily want her, like, wanting to come off the bed, but I do want her to be able to come off when I ask her to. Free! So that way we can go into our next repetition. Place. Good. We did the same exercise last night with the kennel. Same everything, right? And that's why I like to use this concept of thinking about it like the kennel, because then when we transfer this skill to the picture of the kennel, it's extremely familiar to her, right? It's something she's like, oh, I've done this before. This is like, I get this, right? The longer I stay in the kennel, the more treats I get. The longer I stay on the bed, the more treats I get. Good. So when we walk away, we're going to release her. We're going to walk away with our left foot. So we want her to come off. We're going to say, free, and left foot. Oh, my bad. Ready? Free! There we go. Then back on. Place. Excellent. And again, I'm always going to come to this position and take my time and reward. So one thing I want you to remember is when you're doing this, no, place, is I want you to take your time. So I'm not going to be in a huge rush to go, oh my God, place, 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 and reward, reward, reward. I'm going to take my time. So if I'm going to do a bunch of repetitions of place, click, and feed, we do it really slow. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to say place, click, and feed. Stand up, take a nice neutral position. No, place. I'm going to take a nice no, place. Neutral position here, place, click, feed. Place, click, feed. I want her to wait for me. Place, click, feed. Now, do you notice she's looking up when she hears place? Place, click, feed. When we think about commands like place, click, feed, we're just telling our dog where the food's going to be. Place, click, feed. So when I say place, I'm telling her the food's going to be on the place bed. Place. So there's no reason to go anywhere. Place, click, feed. Same thing goes with the kennel. If I tell her the kennel command, it means food's going to be in the kennel. If I tell her the down command, it means the food's going to be down at her feet. Now, I mean, it gets a little bit gray when we start talking about like sit, but like for heel just means it's going to be at my hip. So if we're walking forward, the reward is going to be at my hip. Good girl. Place. Good. So then when we are ready to start to walk away for our place stay, we don't say the word stay, we just say place. So whenever we give a command, I want you to think about it as until told otherwise. So if I say place, she should stay up here until I tell her to do something else. And if she doesn't, there'll be a correction or a consequence. So I tell her place. No, place. I'm going to be careful not to reward when she's barking like that. Place. I'm going to step in front a little bit. I'm going to go back to her side, mark, and feed. Place. Go back to her side, mark, and feed. Place. I'm going to step, go back, mark, and feed. Now, place. It's very easy to get a lot of distance very quickly. I have a lot of people come in and brag, oh, my dog can stay seated. Place. While I'm 10 feet away, 20 feet away, 30 feet away. Place. Again, I'm not going to reward. No. Place. I'm not going to reward when she's barking. No. Place. If you notice, when I say no, I give her a little tug on the leash. Nothing crazy. No. Place. Good. Good. Place. Place. No. Place. Place. Good. Place. But I have a lot of people who like to get really far away very quickly. And yes, you can get there. But when we're talking about creating a lot of reliability and my dog's ability to do this behavior when it's really distracting around and there's a lot of crazy stuff, when there's chickens, when there's friends coming over, the first step is the cue to our dog what we want them to do. Place. So if we spend a long time really ingraining this first step, place. Good. Place. Every other step after this is going to be so much easier. Because after this first step, place, our dog is going to realize, no, place, that nothing good happens until mom comes back to this position, until dad comes back to this position. Place, no, place. So our negative marker, you've heard me say it a few times now, place, good, is the word no. What the word no means is that you've done something you're not supposed to, and there's going to be a consequence, which is just that little tug on the leash you see, and then she has to go back on the bed. After she does that, I'm going to repeat the command, place, good. I'm not going to reward right away if she makes a mistake. Depending on the context, if she's still kind of learning right now, I might, depending on what's, how bad the mistake was. Place. But as we start to build up our duration and our distance, we'll talk about why we don't want to reward after our dog makes a mistake. Place. Good. Now the word good is going to be a type of continuation marker. You can use this as a continuation reward marker, just like we're using the clicker. So instead of click, feed, we can say good, feed. I personally, just from my habits and the way I use my training words, is I use the word good as a marker for food. So it means keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to give you food. Good. Just like the clicker. Now, if I do a long good, good, it means keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track, but you're not going to get the food just yet. So that way, if I'm away, place, and she does a good job, good, I can let her know she's doing good. And then when I come back, I can mark and reward. Some dogs, when they hear no, place. Some dogs, when they hear that marker, that clicker, they get really excited and they might jump off the bed. Or they're, you're away from them and they're getting confused. You want to let them know, nope, you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing, right? They're like, wait, am I supposed to come to you? Am I supposed to do that? And we go, no, just stay where you are. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. We could say, good. That's going to tell them that, essentially. Good. Good. Very good. So I love the fact that she's starting to lay down on the bed. The reason why we do this in order, place, right, is everything happens in the heel position. So that's why we start with trying to work on that heel. We're still working on it. Obviously, we're not done with that. You'll probably work on heel for the rest of your life. It'll never be perfect, but, it's getting there, which is fine. Heel is probably the hardest thing. You're going to have a beautiful loose leash walk. I'm just super particular about how my dogs heel. So then when we are, getting pretty far along with the heel, we introduce the sit. Thankfully, she already has a pretty good understanding of the sit command. Now we're just teaching her to sit in this heel position. What that is going to do, that's actually going to continue to reinforce that heel place. The reason it does that is because every time we stop, she sits and she gets rewarded. And that sit, when we stop, becomes so rewarding that she's going to look forward to it. So if you're out walking with her, place, and you stop and you reward, right? And she's looking forward to that opportunity for you to stop for her to get a reward, she's going to be paying a lot more attention to you, waiting for you to stop. Kind of like playing musical chairs, right? She's waiting for that music to stop so she can sit down and get that reward. Place. So that sit in the heel position is going to really increase her attention in that heel. It's going to increase her enthusiasm for heeling. It's going to help her stay in that heel position because that's where she needs to sit if she wants to get rewarded. So then we introduce place. The reason we introduce place next is because the only two other commands that are, our basic obedience commands or our general obedience commands are down and recall. So once we're working on place like this, and she starts to offer this down, because most dogs do, no, place. Most dogs start to lay down once they're on the place bed for a while. I can reward that, right? And so if I'm just rewarding her for choosing to lay down, I'm not giving her a down command. I'm not saying she has to lay down, but she's figuring out that laying down is a rewarding behavior. And so then in the next lesson, when we are working on that down, it's something that she's already been rewarded for quite a bit. So it's going to be a lot easier for her to go into that down position. We're going to do, the last behavior we're going to do is going to be recall. And the reason we do that last is because we're still working on heel, right? We're still working on her staying next to us and being next to us. She doesn't stay next to us the whole time we're walking yet. And so we're constantly asking her to come back to us, come back into that heel position. We're constantly helping her do that and rewarding her when she does. And she's constantly being rewarded for coming to us, essentially, without us having to call her. So then when we do finally teach her that come to me is on command, it's going to be something that, again, she's already been rewarded for quite a bit throughout the process. So everything does have a purpose. We do things in this order for a good reason. Sometimes we do vary it. So she was a little bit nervous the first day. And so something simple we can do is introduce the place bed for a dog who's a little bit nervous. It's something simple. It's easy. It doesn't take a whole lot of, cognitive attention necessarily. She can look around and still be on the bed, right? So something to kind of keep in mind with her is she's a fairly nervous dog. I think it might be something that, with good exposure, lots of outings, and lots of opportunities to go discover new things, she'll get a lot better about. She'll become more confident. But it might be something you struggle with long term. We can do everything we can to help our dogs feel confident, feel safe, feel like they're moving through the world with an understanding. That's a big part of how obedience helps, is that we're creating a language. So we can tell her, hey, this is what I expect of you in this situation. Hey, if you do this, I can ensure that everything's going to be fine. As long as she stays with me, I promise nothing will happen to her. Nothing bad will happen to her. Place. Good. When it comes to dogs who are either fearful or fear aggressive or reactive, I like to use that place. I like to use that idea of, as long as you're with me, I promise nothing bad is going to happen to you. Place. Good. So I have some really, really fearful personal dogs. They're a lot better now. My Chihuahua spent probably the first 4 months I had him under my coffee table, wouldn't let me touch him. And that was before I really got into professional dog training, before I really, really knew what I was doing, had a really good grasp on how to handle that. And since then, throughout the whole learning process for me, I have learned ways to really be able to help him. And, now he's, much more open dog, much more enthusiastic about doing things. We do agility and stuff like that. Now, he's still not a social butterfly. He doesn't necessarily want to go up to everybody. He still gets a little nervous around maybe loud noises or new novel things, but he's a completely different dog from where he was. And so even if we do have a fearful dog, it doesn't mean they're always going to be this fearful. But it's something to kind of keep in mind and make sure that if they do demonstrate, hey, this is something I'm afraid of, that we're handling that as a good learning opportunity. and not just ignoring it and letting it kind of stay the way it is and saying, oh, well, that's just the way my dog is. I can't fix that. We can take it and say, hey, this is something we can work on. If our dog can overcome this obstacle or this fear or this phobia, you know, they're just going to be that much more confident moving forward, and they're going to be able to adapt more quickly in the future as well. Welcome to my TED Talk. So, oh, it's a good girl. All right. Good. I don't like how she keeps pawing like that. I mean, she's a little pushy. She's a very energetic young puppy, which is great. I like high energy dogs. I like dogs who are a little bit pushy. So when we talk about pushy, we're talking about dogs who have like initiative, right? They're like, hurry up, let's go, let's do this, right? They're like, go, go, go. They're like telling you to hurry up, which is another reason why I want you to make sure you're taking your time when you're working on the place bed. So if they're on the place bed, we're not hurrying because they're pawing at us, because they're barking at us, because they're getting pushy with us, right? Because it's only going to make them pushier. If they're trying to rush us with whatever behaviors, booping us with their nose, pushing our hands, barking at us, whining, fussing, pawing at us, anything like that, we want to make sure we're not reinforcing those behaviors. If our dog thinks that because they did that, they got their food faster, they're going to do it again. So just kind of keep that in mind. I like her enthusiasm for training. I like her initiative. She likes to try things to see what it is I'm trying to get out of her, which I really like. We call that an active dog and a reactive handler. And I really like dogs who learn like that. I like dogs who try stuff and then I can just capture when she does do the thing I like or do the thing I wanted her to do. The downside is you get a dog who's a little bit pushy. And, you know, we're not, you know, I know you're looking to do some really fun stuff with her. So I think you're going to like having a very active dog like that. But I think sometimes it's like a house dog couch potato that can be a little bit of a nuisance sometimes. So having a really good, like chill behavior, like place or down, can be helpful in those settings. So if she starts to get a little fussy or, you know, pushy or whatever, we can ask her for these behaviors, and we're going to condition a calm behavior on here, which is why we do put a lot of reward into when she lays down in the bed. Good. So this has been a pretty long session. With place, we can tend to go a little bit longer because it's a very simple behavior. It's just stay on the place bed. And if you notice, like we're not, I'm going to tell you this, good dog training is really boring. So everyone wants to go do the really cool stuff like agility and jumping through hoops and doing backflips and all this crazy stuff. But I think this is really important to get first, which this is really boring. That's what people pay me to do it, which is great. But she's wonderful regardless. Place. The last session we did, and I'll upload that video. I'm sure you've watched it before I send you this one. She was really kind of fussy and really kind of all over the place, and she was really not paying good attention. She was very distracted, and I thought it's because she had to poop, and she did. Right after the session was over, she did a big old poop. And of course, I talked to you this morning that we discovered that she has worms in her poop. After her poop yesterday, I really didn't notice it. I didn't really look at it. That was my mistake this morning. First poop in the morning. I definitely noticed it. So, but yeah, those worms, you know, they're not the end of the world. They're not a huge health concern necessarily. They're very common in puppies, but I'm sure they still cause a little bit of discomfort. So she probably has a little bit of bloating, but I mean, her poops have been solid. She's been pooping, she's been peeing, she's definitely eating, she drinks lots of water, so she's a very good pup. You ready? Free! Free! All right, we're all done. I'm gonna put her away, and then yeah, I'll send you the video. Come on. You can see here she's pretty nervous. I'm not gonna pull the leash when she comes in. I just mark and reward. I think she's scared of my car, honestly, and the car is right behind here. Okay, bye.